Yeah, the next section is gender and language. Mandy, you said you learned a lot on that one.
Oh, yeah. So mainly gender and language have nothing to do with whether you're a boy or a girl. Like, you can be feminine or masculine or, and not like in a gay way or act like a girl, but just the way you approach talk, you can still be a girl, but if you're direct and you use powerful words, that's masculine. Doesn't mean that you like are trying to be a man.
Or come off as a boy.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you put on different hats in different situations.
Yeah,
You
and
want to come off in a certain way in a certain situation.
one thing that tied into your part of the chapter, Connor, was that it was where you change your way you talk to be around the people that you're around. That also affects, like, if you work in a certain environment for 10 years, that could affect you throughout. Like, that could, like, alter it a little bit down. You're more masculine or more feminine because of that environment.
If I join the nursing program, my
Exactly.
language eventually over time.
Yeah,
it's
even
around-
though you're not a nurse
Because
no more.
it's a field dominated by women.
Or a preschool teacher or
Right,
something
right.
like that. Then, and you did that for 10 years, it would still have, even though you weren't talking to kindergartners no more, it would still have an effect on you later into how. So I did learn that. First, there's been a lot of studies, like a lot of studies done, and some of them contradict each other, I think. The differences I seen in the studies are early and late, also in different areas. I feel like the same, a study was done. It was studying like content, and another one was studying non-gender verbals, but they were all about gender. They just said, this is, so they came out with different endings. The same study. But if you look at what the study was really looking at, it wasn't looking at the same exact thing. It was just looking at one area. So some popular writers and researchers believe that men and women speak in distinct ways as if they are from different cultures. That's like a popular belief, like from Mars, women are from Venus, all of those things that I know I've heard my whole life, like you're from another planet. And then it says, despite the change in male and female roles since then, the results of several studies are remarkably similar. So it's going on to say that they find that actually men and women are very similar. Topics, a range of topics each discuss with friends of the same sex. So when you're talking to, all the guys are talking and all the girls are talking, like you're talking to your same sex.
Yeah.
You know, women use emotions. They're more caring about their personal lives and their domestic, a lot of that same. And then when men are talking about sports, business, and other men, it goes into say both men and women equally likely to discuss personal appearance, sex, dating in the same conversations. They're stereotypic. It's common stereotype. Women were likely to gossip about friends and family. It's basically saying that that's not so much true. Like it's done on both sides.
Both men and women gossip in their own way.
Yeah, and or about their family, like together. Like they don't cross. I think women and men do cross. There is some situations, but in majority of it, like if all the guys are sitting around talking, they're complaining about the same thing the women are.
For sure. No, I think about that all the time. I'm a gossip queen, dude. I'm self-proclaimed gossip queen for here. I love it, dude. If you got something juicy, it's like, dude, hit me with it. What it is. It's like, he said that? What? Oh my gosh, she's into that? What? That's crazy.
Yeah.
I love it. Me and my mom, we were just on the phone for like an hour and a half. We were just talking. We were just gossiping about like our other family and stuff like that. So that's kind of like a good example right there. We were both talking about it. But we were on the phone for like 3.5 hours. It was crazy.
It says that the difference can lead to frustration when men and women try to converse with one another.
Yeah.
Research reports that trivial is the word often used by both men and women to describe topics discussed by the opposite sex.
It's like trivial matters. Oh.
When they're saying men and women, again, later on it'll talk about it being masculine and feminine. Some people they work around men all the time, so they are more comfortable talking with men. Like, you don't feel like you fit in with your normal girl chatter or whatever. The biggest thing that I noticed from that section was they think they're different, but they're not. They use a different way of communicating. Girls are like, I feel this and I feel that, and guys are more direct. And they feel like they can't talk to each other. They're literally talking about the same thing.
Yeah, because oh, wow.
Yeah.
Just in their own little world, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Their communication with each other is like, oh, girls can't, because now you can't talk to her. It's not. They literally, if you look at the way these girls are over here and these guys are over here, they're both doing the same, talking about the same things.
Right.
But it's not. But when one comes from this group and one comes to talk to each other, like, I can't talk to her.
That makes sense.
I can't talk to him. He never listens. You know, both men. Yeah.
Men are good. We're garbage, dude.
Reasons for communicating. This one was a difficult one for me.
What is it called?
Reasons for communicating. Men and women, I just said that, accomplish these goals often different. Most communicators try to make their interactions enjoyable. Men are more likely than women to emphasize making conversation fun. Their discussions involve a greater amount of joking and good-natured teasing. By contrast, women's discussions tend to involve feelings, relationships, and personal problems. In fact, communicator research Julia Wood-Flatty states that for women, talk is essential for relationships.
That's a crazy name. Can you imagine going to school with that name?
I know.
Flatty?
Like,
Julia Fatty.
I don't think
Is
that's
it Fatty or
it's
Flappy?
Julia Wood Flatley.
It is Flatly, yeah. But, God, in the third grade, you could try that.
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's like, oh, Fatty's here.
And then it says, whereas men commonly describe same-sex conversations as something they like, women describe their same-sex conversations as a kind of contact they needed. So they look,
That's women?
Yeah, they need to have that. Even though they both use the same amount of words in one day, they both talk about basically the same. They both gossip. Generally, they both enjoy having conversations to be fun. The reason for communicating is to enjoy the conversation.
I wonder if that's like a level of admittance, though. Like, men need it too.
Yeah.
But we're just, I could get by without it. You know, it's that kind of.
I think we're content. We can either have it or not have it. It doesn't really. That's how I am, though.
Feels a real guy's guy.
Well,
Yeah,
you out in the
you
woods.
Conversational style. Women tend to behave somewhat differently in conversations than men do, although the difference aren't as dramatic as you might imagine. For instance, the popular myth that women are more talkative than men doesn't hold up under scientific scrutiny. Researchers have found that men and women speak roughly the same number of words per day.
I know I do.
Yeah, I want to know where that myth would even come from, because I feel like everybody's talking
I think it's the old.
constantly.
I think it's the olden days, like when.
Y'all didn't have a telephone, radio.
Well, no, I think it probably comes from women trying to talk to their husbands or men, and they're like that's all you get. Yep, nope. But if you heard him talking to his friends, he's having a full, in-depth, complete sentence conversation.
It's just like, oh, they never shut up. Yeah, it's like, I don't know.
And then, so I think
like
it's
I
like
talk
some old mythological view or something. I don't
Yeah,
know. But
yeah.
new studies show that they use the same amount.
I
And
just
then,
want to come home and drink. Leave me alone, woman.
yeah,
It's the 1950s, goddammit.
They're always saying what decade it is.
It's a thing. It happens. It's the way that men speak. I
Yeah.
know personally. I mean, it's 2020.
It is 20. Yeah.
grow up. And women often use statements showing support for the other person, demonstrations of equality and effort to keep the conversation going. With these goals, it's not surprising that traditionally women's speech often contains statements of sympathy and empathy. I've felt just like that myself. The same thing happened to me. When you look at all of those statements, they're going into it'll go into the next part and tell you that it's not just women that's a feminine way to talk.
Yeah.
They're saying here they're saying women.
Yeah.
But then down here they'll be like, no, it's a feminine way.
And that's what you're saying about it contradicting itself.
Yeah,
pretty
it
much,
contradicts itself. I feel like it does.
I wonder.
Jeez,
I wonder what
who wrote this book?
Another one is, how did you feel about that? Why did you do that? These are all ways that women talk. Feminine speech is often somewhat tentative. Saying this is just my opinion is less likely to put off a conversational partner than a more definite, here's what I think. One study found that female authors often use less powerful language when written for female audiences, and then this approach is particularly effective in health-focused magazines. Other studies revealed that women who speak tentatively were actually more persuasive with men than those who use more powerful speech. I'm not sure,
I feel like that would make sense though, because it's kind of like in my section, like the we and the I statements, like, you know, like having somebody, you know, talk to you with an I statement and it sounds like so directed at me, whereas a we statement, you know, is, you know, it's both of us. And then, yeah, like women who speak tentatively, or men respond better to women who speak tentatively than, you know, any other way. Because it's like, oh, like, you know, it's not just a thing. It's like, you know, we're both like here. It's like, I don't know, like kind of motherly, listen to your mom kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I think maybe if it's written and you're not listening to a woman talk to you, maybe it's more willing to accept what's written.
Yeah.
Like you don't see it. I'm not sure how that, if you see what I mean there, but like.
Well, yeah, that's like I might be
Like
making
you're
this
reading
up, but
an
the lady that
article.
wrote The Outsiders, she used her initials, so because it came out in the 50s. So you've heard that story too, so that she thought if it was written by a woman, people wouldn't read it, you know?
Yeah.
So people would just assume it was a man that wrote the short or wrote the book.
So the language and conversational topics show up vividly in online communications. The language, social media, that also shapes the way some people talk in person. For instance, clipped versions of words that are popular in texting and tweeting. I don't even know
like
what
an
these
emoji?
are. Pos. I don't even know what they are.
Probs? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
It's like probably, I think.
Oh, okay, maybe. But
Oh,
so
you're
it's like
talking about
a
abbreviations.
common way of texting, like abbreviating when you text,
Who
like
says
LOL
adorb?
maybe.
Yeah, these are really bad
So
examples.
have
like,
found.
Jeez.
That Divergent thing where it's the old guy trying to sound hip.
Well, I know, like, okay,
We've
like,
all texted Adorb, am I right?
but I know, like, be right back, BRB.
BRB,
Like, my niece literally says that to me out loud. So they have found their way into face-to-face interactions. She's not texting me. We're talking, and she's like, BRB, and she walks to the kitchen and gets something and comes back. I'm like,
I say that
Well, people say
sarcastically.
OMG all the time.
yeah. So it made it into, like, conversations instead of, it came out of the internet.
Actually, I totally know what you're talking about because I remember when I was in 8th grade, instead of saying pregnant, we would verbally say prego, like, oh, our teacher's prego.
Yeah, so
Interesting.
research suggests that women, typically younger ones, are more likely than men to use these jargon shortcuts in conversations.
Jargon?
Jargon.
It is jargon. Moving into non-gender verbals. This is the part that blew my mind. Made me think I'm a dude.
Rethinking your entire life.
I know.
Maybe they were right.
Yeah.
Science doesn't matter.
Exactly. Several research reviews have found that the way women and men communicate are more familiar than different. For example, one analyst of more than 1,200 research studies found that only 1% variance in communication behavior resulted from gender differences.
What does that mean?
What was the question again?
Several
issues.
Technical difficulty.
It's fine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so that the ways that women and men communicate are more similar than they're different.
Yes, there's only 1% of variance.
That's crazy.
And then it's a lot to be said about the use of the qualifiers, I guess. This is my opinion, tag, vocal fluency. There's no difference between stuff like that. If you're up here, it's like, oh, I feel sorry for you. That's like girl talk. The stuff is like almost identical.
Yeah.
The non-gender verbals are 1% variance. They're dead on the exact same in a lot of ways. For me, it's some on-the-job research shows that male and female supervisors in similar positions behave in the same way and are equally efficient. In light of this research, which shows considerable similarities, the differences between sexes, the communication scholars suggest that the men are from Mars and women are from Venus. Metaphor should be used by the nation that men are from North Dakota and women are from South Dakota. They're just a tad
We're
bit
not
different.
so different, you
Yeah,
and I.
exactly.
You used to think you're crazy. Now I can see your nuts.
There's a lot of examples in here of where, for example, social philosophy plays a role. Feminist wives talk longer than their partners. There is a little bit. There's a couple people. There's a weed in the flower garden somewhere kind of thing where somebody's like not normal to the norm of the statistics.
Feminist wives talk longer than their partner?
Yeah, feminist wives.
I was
So
running that.
yeah.
Hashtag.
Who's really wearing the pants?
Hashtag me too, dog.
So, and then, for example, male daycare teachers speak to their students resembles the language of a female teacher more closely than it resembles the language of the father at home. And female farm operators working in a male-dominated profession often use more masculine language patterns by swearing and talking tough as nails.
Yeah, that makes sense though. Can you imagine like a male kindergartner speaking to the kids like he was at the shop or something, or he was like the dad or something? Like, all right, now get over here and fucking read your book. You know, like, all right, it's nap time. Now go to bed, dude. You know, like, well, I'm not gonna tell you this.
The last time. Don't make me pull this classroom over.
So you were saying that there's no differences when it comes to that, like the farm lady, the way she talks?
No, they adopt their.
Yeah.
They adopt. That's what I was saying. They adopt it from.
Convergence.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's what I was going to... So about that, so like when I was in the military, especially when I joined boot camp, I had 3 RDCs, you know, the people that just beat the shit out of you, you know, and kind of mold you into whatever you're going to be, sailor, Marine, Army. And I remember, and she was very attractive. I think she was half Hispanic, half black. She was really attractive. But man, she was mean as shit, dude. Like, and she was short. You know, I was a pretty big dude. I mean, she scared the hell out of me. I never messed with her, obviously, you know, because I was in an environment where I got to get broken down and built back up again, and that was by them, and it was crazy. She was cussing at you. Yeah. You know, get the fuck on the floor now. You gonna bust out push up?
And I think in that situation, like, she feels that she would have to be, and kind of like, you know, like women in the farming industry will speak, you know, with that masculine kind of sense, or, you know, a man being in a more woman-run industry would speak more feminine.
But the way you look at it though, like, and I'm not saying it was easy. It probably wasn't easy for her and I was in the military and I saw how I'm sure it's not, and stuff like that. Like, you know, they have to be that.
Yeah, be tough as nails or something. I mean, you're not tall, but you're a big dude and stuff, and then.
I try, man.
So being like a little, you know, short black girl or black Hispanic girl, they're like, you know, it's just like, hey, listen, motherfucker, like, I'm gonna tell you this, I'm gonna tell you one time.
No, but she earned, well, definitely me, you know, I don't know about it, but she definitely earned my respect. Yeah. You know, I respect her.
Yeah, and I think also if you have any sign of weakness or you're not on your game, like if you're the fun-loving dad in the preschool, they're gonna sense a weakness and get you. The whole preschool class is gonna con you into something and get you fired. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or if you're the girl in the work environment where if you are feminine, I remember when I first became a mom, I had already been a construction worker for years, and I was like trying to change the way I talk because I didn't want my kid to cuss. So I was, oh, heck no. And the guys were like laughing. Every time someone walked by me, they were like, heck. For like a week. That was the funniest thing they heard. So
it's like how the Mormons talk.
Yeah, and so they teased me relentlessly.
Shut the front door.
Yeah, they were like,
biscuit eating dog.
Back the truck up, and they were like laughing because I'm like, leave me alone. I'm trying to be a better person.
You lint liquor.
You call it a lint liquor, you cootie cushion.
So, like, I just think all in all, whether you're in a professional environment, a friend environment, like your speech changes, going for culture and language, like you have to take that into a consideration going like for everybody.
All right.
That was interesting.
Yeah, that was very interesting. Yeah,
that I'm all warmed up, we should press record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that about 5 minutes ago. I was like, if he didn't start recording.
Wait, we were recording?
That's all we got.
Peace.
You know, if you guys have any questions, you can ask us anything.
We'll be at table 3.
I'm right here.
Peace out. Y'all have a good day.
See you later.